Okay, so recording our bass with a mic, we have a cabinet here, and as I said, it is a guitar cabinet, so keep that in mind. We have a mic, and I'm going to start with an SM57. Now, there's particular mics that are probably better for bass or whatever else, but I'm just showing you the techniques with what I have. I don't record bass this way, so it's more of a guide as an example if you do have a bass setup. So we just have an XLR cable here that we plug into our mic. All right, simple as that. Then the other end goes into our audio interface, and then I'm going to put it on a mic stand that I have here, and we're going to place it in front of our speaker. Now where we place it is going to give us different sounds. We have the cone that's in the middle, and as I described in the recording guitar, which I actually did do before this, if you have a grill cloth over the top and you find it hard to see where the cone is in your speaker, grab your iPhone, turn a torch on and shine it on an angle through the cloth, and you can see the cone when you do that. I obviously have the cloth taken off, and I have these special covers just so it gives me a lot easier control and a lot easier visibility, because I don't take this cabinet anywhere, so it was really about recording anyway. Okay, so to enable me to do this mic placement and that, I've recorded a little bit of a bass run into my looper pedal, and that is easily, I can just start playing that, and that means I don't have to touch the bass guitar, and I can be moving my mic around and getting my settings right. So I definitely highly recommend that if you do have the option. If you can get a looper pedal, it does give you some greater flexibility in being able to set your sound, because you don't have to be balancing your bass guitar or your guitar while you're trying to get your mic set up and everything else. Now the other thing I do is I have some headphones that are these extreme headphones, sound isolating, and the reason I have these is because generally in a professional studio, what happens is you'll have an assistant that might be in the room with the cabinet moving the microphone around, and then you'll have the main person in the mixing room that's just hearing what the mic's picking up. Now in a home studio like this, where we're right next to our amp and our cabinet, it's very hard to hear what the actual mic is picking up and not getting what's happening in the room. So with these here, they isolate most of the sound in the room, and I'm only hearing the mic. So it allows me to be in with the cabinet, but also get a pretty good representation of what the mic is doing. It's not perfect. I mean, some does leak in, right? But it's better than nothing. So if I start the loop, and then what we need to do is check our audio interface to make sure we're getting an input going. So I'm just going to turn this gain down on this DI, because that's where I plugged it in. Okay, so once we're happy with our level there, obviously if we were going to record, we would come in here to our recording software, and we would add a new audio track, and we would set it to that input, which happens to be DI. It's just what it's labeled, and it's set to mono and set it to a bus. And then we would just add the track, give it a proper name, whatever else, right? And then if we put monitor on, right, you'll see it's coming through there. And we could record that, okay? In this case here, I'm not going to record it, but what we're going to do is just run through some mic placements to give you an idea of the actual sound and what we can do with it, and we'll try some different mics as well. All right, so let's get our loop going and we'll move the mic around. At the moment it is right on the center of the cone. Now, as I said, keep in mind, these are not bass speakers, it's not a bass cabinet, it's a guitar cabinet. So it's not a perfect situation here, but we will we'll do with it anyway as an example so that you can see how we do this. All right, so we're on the center of the cone right now. You can hear a lot of that top end fizz disappeared. It's a lot better placement there. But if you want it warmer, absolutely no high end fizz there. So you could also turn it this way. Now you might want to move it back maybe to get more room. So in my case here, I might want to go for a position like that because it seemed to take away the high-end fizz, which is not what I want in a bass guitar, and it's giving me a nice low sound. Now, I'm assuming that if we had a proper bass speaker, you probably wouldn't get that high-end fizz because it's not meant to have that. And we could tweak our amp as well to take that away as well if we wanted to. But it could just be inherently in the speaker and in the microphone itself. Right, so that's with an SM57, so let's try with a different microphone and see what results we get with that. Okay, so now what we've got is a condenser mic plugged into our mic input here, and it's sitting in front, directly in. And if we start our bass loop, okay, you can see we're not getting anything here, and the reason for that is because this microphone requires 48 volt power. Okay, so we've got a nice crisp tone, but again, we've got that high end fizz. So let's move that one around and see what we get. Nice dark sound there. Hear that fizz come back in. If we went on an angle like that. Now what if we move it back? Definitely liking it off to the side. Gets rid of that fizz. So again, exactly where you place it is really up to what sound you're going for, what your speaker sounds like, what your amp sounds like, and what your microphone sounds like. Okay, because each microphone is going to present something different and sound different. So let's try one more microphone. We're going to try a ribbon microphone this time. Before I do that, I'm going to turn the phantom power off because I don't want to take any chance of blowing this mic up, and it does not require power. So it could get damaged if I leave it on. Okay, so I just have the mic a little bit away from the speaker first off, just to make sure I don't overload it in any case, because ribbon mics can be very delicate. And we'll start our loop. Crank our gain. Okay, this one needs a lot more gain because it is a gentler mic, less sensitive. All right, let's try our placements now. So we'll try moving it in first. Now see, this one doesn't suffer from that high-end fizz. So even on the cone, it sounds good. Very dark there. So as the ribbon mic is naturally darker in itself, it doesn't capture the high-end fizz on this. And again, if you didn't have that fizz anyway, then it's not an issue. But in this case here, this one is actually working quite well on the cone, but you will lose that top end clarity with this sort of ribbon mic because it is a darker sound. So it can be used as, if you want to see the dual miking approach, check out the guitar one where I do the dual mic to give an example of adding a ribbon with the SM57. So in this example here, basically any one of those mics could have done the job and sounded good. Now you could compare them all together and get the perfect one, but again, you can utilize whatever mic you have available to you, and there may be better options out there for capturing a bass guitar. As I said, these are just the ones I have here, mainly for guitar or acoustic guitar. They're not really specifically set up for bass, so it's a bit of a trial and error here. But I think we could have got some good results in there, and you know, it was just about getting the right placement for the right sound that we wanted and setting it up, and off we go. Okay, now that we've got our bass tracks laid out, they're pretty much set out the way I want, and good quality recordings, etc. I'm happy with them pretty much. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff to do in mixing and stuff, but the layout's good and I'm pretty happy with it. So, okay, so let's do a playthrough of the entire song as it stands right now, just so you can get an understanding of where we're at and can hear the song develop as we get through it. So it can be a little bit monotonous because there's not any majorly exciting parts to it, but you can gives you a great understanding of how this song's getting built as we go. So let's play through it now and see where we're up to. All right, so now that you've seen me do this process and run through it, I want you to go to the PDF and get the worksheet, write down all the parts that you need to record bass guitar on, if any, depending on your song, a real bass guitar we're talking about, and obviously write down the status, complete as you go, and get your bass parts recorded. In the next videos, we're going to be talking about virtual basses and electronic basses. So if you don't have a real bass and that's not what you're even looking at, don't worry, we're going to cover that in the next videos. So if you do have any questions about this process, you need any advice on your particular setup, anything at all, please feel free to put it in the comments. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.